The industry needs more 32-year-old most senior executives and more 54-year-old executors in the trenches. It goes both ways. Ageism. You know, there's been so much conversation and slower but some progress on a lot of segments, females, minorities, a ton. Something that I've been, you can see a lot of content on, talking more and more about over the last 3 or 4 years has been, in the rise of technology, in the rise of these 23-year-old billionaires, we've gotten into a place where out of all, we are doing a very nice collective human job of having a lot of conversations around a lot of sectors, but we are not around 55 to 9, whatever you want to put the number on. We put out a lot of content for that demo. I've noticed that you're beating that drum. I'd like to give you the floor.
Sure. So first of all, I am 59.
Okay.
I shout that from the rooftops.
Yep.
I tell people how old I am as often as possible.
Because you look so great and you want to brag,
no,
or?
No, not at all.
I'm kidding.
Because I consider myself a proudly visible member of the most invisible segment of our society, which is older women.
Couldn't agree more.
I want to help demonstrate by the way I live my life. I want to challenge what society thinks an older woman should look like, talk like, dress like, work like, date like. And I've been campaigning against ageism for years. And this is a really important fact, Gary. For the same reason that I campaign about every aspect of diversity, I am a hard-headed, pragmatic businesswoman.
Yes.
And I am horrified at the amount of money that brands and businesses are leaving on the table when we manage older talent out of the industry.
Couldn't agree more.
And also, by the way, let me define older talent for you. Because I would encourage, if you haven't, are you on Fishbowl, the app at all?
Of course, of course.
Okay, so I would encourage your listeners who aren't, go on Fishbowl, go to the advertising bowl. There is a thread going on at the moment, a very engaged and very long one, where a senior copywriter asked, do you feel you've been managed out of the industry, and if so, what age did it happen? I am horrified by this thread because the answers to that question, at what age were you managed out of the industry, are 34, 36, 39, 40, 42, and that whole thread should be read. Okay, and the point about that is, older people, or as I like to call us, experts, are the key to growth and profitability and exponentially more money.
Or a substantial piece of the equation.
No, absolutely.
Right?
Because what you're talking about is, as a leader, how much do you want your employees to, for a start, never be fazed by any business crisis or situation, but know exactly what to do when anything comes along,
Experience
because they've been
matters.
there 50 million times before.
But you would, listen, real quick, but I would push, not back, but like to add context, I'd love to get your perspective on this.
Yep.
So, I often say the 43, at 25 I thought I was going to be unstoppable and nobody could beat me and I was great already, and the 43-year-old me laughs at that kid. So experience matters, but there is a little bit of a DNA trait. I have 55-year-old executives that fold like a cheap chair because that's just in their DNA.
Oh, no, and the ideal, and by the way, the other benefits are, people management skills, something our industry does not specifically train for. You only hone those over years and years and years. Craft skills. You're going to hear a lot of talk at Cannes this week about, technical perfection, crafts, you hone those over decades in our industry. And the point about all of that is that older people are unbelievably time and cost efficient. When you do everything quicker because of that. Now, what I recommend though, what I want to see is cross-generational working. Because the irony of the traditional corporate structure is that it's predicated on the idea that, the higher up you progress, the older you get. And so what we do not have is the 55-year-old and 25-year-old working together as equal partners on the same level.
Couldn't agree more.
And that is the future.
The industry needs more 32-year-old most senior executives and more 54-year-old executors in the trenches. It goes both ways. And mixed all over,
every
100%.
possible dimension.
I couldn't agree more.
That's the future. And that's an incredibly productive future that nobody's making happen. And I want to see that happen.